Welcome in to Consistently Cash It. It's time to build those Week 6 NFL DFS lineups. Ron Rigny and Colby Conway here to bring you the best DFS plays for Week 6 of the 2025 NFL season coming up next.
Yeah, I bet on myself. Yeah, I bet on myself. I don't need you, I do it myself. Yeah, I bet on myself. Yeah, I bet on myself. Yeah.
Welcome in for the newest episode. I'm Colby Conway. That is Ron Rigny, here to build you a consistent and winning DFS lineup for Week 6 action. So, Ron, I'm going to go ahead and get our lineup pulled up here, but kind of at first, at a high-level overview, what do you kind of make of the slate? What are you looking at? Games, players, what kind of caught your eye when you were building your lineups?
One of the things the first go-tos that I do is I go look at the Vegas totals. And I don't know if you've looked at these Vegas totals, but there are some high-scoring games this week. And I don't know if I've seen this many games north of 45, 47 points. I mean, we've even got one, of course, it's not on the slate, but we even got one in the 50s. So there's a lot to like this week. There's a lot of matchups. There's a lot of good matchups against bad defenses. So this was not, I want to say last week's was a little harder to put together. We did really well last week. So hopefully, the fact that this one's a little bit easier bodes well for us.
I hope you're right. So let's go ahead and take a look at the lineup here that we got for Week 6. And Ron, I'll let you kick it off with the quarterback position. We're saving a little bit of money from some of the big dogs at the position with the Bakers, the Daks, and the Matt Staffords of the like. And we're looking to a game that I think actually has some shootout potential. So why don't you talk about Sam Darnold as our QB?
Yeah, so again, there's a few quarterbacks that we're looking at here, but like I was saying with those totals, the Seahawks and the Jags sits right now at 47.5 points. So like you said, I don't know that it's even sneaky. I think it definitely could be a shootout. But when you look at that Jags defense, they've allowed the fifth most quarterback fantasy points in the league this year. And Sam Darnold's been really good, and Sam Darnold's been ultra cheap as well. Went for 341 and 4 scores last week. He's only thrown an interception in two different games. He's got a 295 total, 242 total. And again, the Jags, they've been involved in a couple of the shootouts as well, but they're not defending the quarterbacks all that much. JSN has definitely continued to break out season. They can run it a little bit. So I think it's a nice matchup especially for that price point at $5,800. But if you're looking at quarterback, a couple other guys that we kind of discussed a little bit. Matt Stafford's not bad. Jordan Love. Of course, you got Mac Jones there going against Tampa. So there's a couple things to like there, but I think with that $5,400, Sam Darnold's awfully tough to pass up.
And Jacksonville obviously traded away Tyson Campbell, so I'm not sure if Greg Newsome will be ready to step right in and make a difference there for Jacksonville. So I do like the matchup. I like some points to be scored there. And we're going to run it back with Mr. Rico Dowdle after his 230-plus total yard game last week. He now gets Dallas, which is the good old revenge game. Dallas allowing the 6th most fantasy points per games to running backs this season. Should be some points scored in this one. So I like Rico Dowdle. The price jumped up, but still with no Chuba Hubbard, sub 6K for Rico Dowdle is still too cheap because the workload is going to be immense, to say the least. So Rico Dowdle is our first running back. And then Ron, talk to me here about Quinshon Judkins, a rookie, as our second running back.
Yeah, and it's clear that this guy, since he's come back, he's the guy that they want to get the ball to. He's had at least 18 carries in each of the 4 games he's been in, and he's averaging last week in that 110-yard effort, 4.8 a carry, 5.2, 6.1. So the dude's getting the ball. He's making it happen with the football, and he's doing a little bit in the receiving game too. He had one couple games where he's had 3 grabs. Like to see him do a little bit more in that regard, and there might be more of that, especially with the rookie quarterback starting with the check down scenarios. But again, it's just hard to pass up at that $5,900, and Pittsburgh has not been real solid against the run at all this season. So there's no reason to think that he can't have another one of those nice average yards per carry games and also get over 100 yards for you.
I certainly like it. And we're spending up for Puka Nacua, highest priced receiver on the slate, but only the Cowboys have allowed more fantasy points per game to wide receivers this season than the Ravens. The Ravens are incredibly banged up. Puka's getting targeted at an immense rate, should find the end zone. He's going to need 20-plus points to pay off for us here. But the good thing about that is, if you look at his past game logs, he's exceeded 20 in all 5 this season there. So Puka Nacua worth every penny this week. Ron, we both like teams in the AFC South, but we're going with a different team for our next wide receiver.
So we're looking at, we're looking at all these different receivers on the slate today, and we're looking at a guy that it's taken him a little while to get going, and that's Calvin Ridley. And it's kind of, Tennessee's just kind of a mess in every aspect of the football. And as you see Cam Ward kind of starting to put it together a little bit, you're going to see Mr. Calvin Ridley post some more stats as well. So it's one of those things where 5 for $131 on 10 targets last week, and no reason to think he can't do that against a Raiders team that can't really defend much. They're fourth worst against fantasy wide receivers, and at that price point, again, as he starts to come around, he's only going to get more expensive. But when we look at this lineup again, fits nicely in there. $4,900. That seems awful cheap for Mr. Ridley.
And then we're going to look to Tet McMillan. Like I said with Puka, the only team that's allowed more fantasy points than the Ravens to receivers this year is the Cowboys. They've been killed by outside receivers. That's where Tet McMillan shines. Looking at it here, 13, 10, 7, 19, and 11. Maybe hasn't popped off all too much, but he's been very consistent in terms of his workload, having 8 targets in all 5 games this season. And I'm going to call my shot right here, Ron. He will score his first touchdown this week. I know it's not a bold take at all, considering many a player has scored a touchdown against the Dallas Cowboys this season. But for me, McMillan gets his first one this week, should get close to 20 fantasy points in this matchup. Very bullish on him. And at 6,000 here on DraftKings, the price is simply too good to ignore. Talk to me about our tight end, Hunter Henry, this week.
So when we've gone with Hunter Henry, the couple times we've had him, it's paid off for us. And he's going against a Saints team that's allowed 28 receptions and 4 touchdowns to the tight end spot. And we've seen Drake May kind of develop, that love affair with Hunter Henry. Now we've seen Stephon Diggs come on a little bit, but Hunter Henry, again, couple touchdowns couple weeks ago, posted some clutch games for us. Went for 2 for 46 last week, but he's going to probably need to get in the end zone. I don't know how many of those 8 for 90 games that we're going to see, but again, I think the targets are going to be there against one of the worst teams in the league against a tight end. And again, at $4,300, just kind of like Mr. Ridley, seems awfully cheap for one of the guys that we plugged in that's gotten us a little bit of success.
And then the flex spot, we're going to go to Marvin Harrison Jr. We both like some points to be scored. That Arizona Indy game, Indy's a little banged up in the secondary, and they've allowed the 5th most fantasy points per game to wide receivers this season. Looking at Marvin Harrison, last week had the 98 yards. He's up over 60 yards in back-to-back weeks, has a touchdown or 60-plus in 3 of 5 games this season. Kyler missed some practice time, but they're calling him questionable. It sounds like he's going to play. I'm a little less bullish on him with Jacoby Brissett as compared to Kyler Murray, but at 5,300, this is such a good spot for Marvin Harrison Jr. So if Kyler plays, it's wheels up for Maserati Marv or whatever vehicle he is now, if it's Mazda Marv or, whatever it might be at this point. So Marvin Harrison, 5,300, far too cheap. And rounded out here, Ron, with our defense. We actually had our pick of the litter here. We had enough money that we could have got literally any defense that we wanted. Tell us why we settled in on the Rams.
When you look at Baltimore, they're starting. I didn't see if it was Cooper Rush or if it was. I saw they brought Tyler Huntley back into the fold too. So, okay, and you saw what happened with that last week. Again, it was not a good start for him. They got absolutely annihilated. They cannot play defense. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. So I think we're going to see even more of that. But that Rams team has been tough on defense. They've been getting after the football. They've been picking the quarterbacks off. They've been doing it all. Again, Baltimore not been good on offense. And if you've got a guy back there running it that's throwing 3-4 picks a game, you got to start that defense. So it's a little bit more expensive, a little bit, $3,500, a little more pricey than we normally go with. But I think the matchup kind of speaks for itself.
Absolutely. So that will be our week 6 lineup here for Consistently Cash. And Sam Darnold, Rico Dowdle, Quinshon Judkins, Puka Nacua, Calvin Ridley, Tetairoa McMillan, Hunter Henry, Marvin Harrison Jr., and the Rams defense. Ron, let everyone know where they can find you and what you got on BigGuyFantasySports.com this week.
Got your week 6 start sit. Go check out that consistency forecasters over there at BigGuyFantasySports.com. Use that every week for my article. Again, Colby's over there, James Knight, Bob, of course, with consistency. Again, for that low price of $20, you got to come over and check out BigGuyFantasySports.com.
Absolutely. Make sure you check that out. Give me a follow over on X at Colby R. Conway. Check out everything we got at Big Guy Fantasy Sports. Obviously, the Prop It Like It's Hot podcast and article. Check that out. Obviously, this podcast that you're listening to now. And I got the Who's Hot, Who's Not article that drops on Tuesdays of every week. So make sure you check that out. Give us a follow. Best of luck with your week 6 NFL DFS lineups. Win some money, win some cash. And of course, as always, stay consistent.